The wind carries a stench of sweat and oil, mingling with the faint hum of machinery that fills the air. Captain Mira Valen walks her patrol route, boots crunching against the dry earth. Her expression is rigid, a mask of control and focus, the product of years spent serving the UED. Her eyes sweep across the camp, taking in the sight of the Irthrulum moving in silence, their heads down, their shoulders hunched beneath the weight of their labor. But there's something different today. As Valen walks past the rows of Irthrulum, one of them stands taller than the others. She doesn't cower. Her silver-streaked skin glints under the dim light, and her gaze is steady, sharp even. It's a challenge, silent but undeniable. Valen slows her pace, her hand instinctively drifting to her sidearm. She stops in front of the Irthrulum, narrowing her eyes. Name and designation. Valen orders, her voice clipped, every word deliberate. The Irthrulum doesn't hesitate. Zira, E731. Her voice is calm, soothing, but beneath it, there's a quiet defiance. For a long moment, they lock eyes. Valen's hand tightens around the grip of her weapon, though she doesn't draw it. The weight of that defiant stare does more to shake her than any physical threat could. Valen tears her gaze away, turning sharply on her heel. "Carry on," she says, her voice steady. But something in her posture betrays a momentary crack in her composure. She strides away, her pace quickening. She tells herself it's nothing. Just another Irthrulum. Just another day. But Zira's eyes stay with her, haunting her as she moves through the camp. Zira watches her go, a faint knowing smile playing on her lips. The smallest ripple in the water, the beginning of something far greater. Dr. Evelyn Graves sits hunched over her console, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the monitors in front of her. For weeks, she's been running tests, processing Irthrulum DNA samples, searching for patterns, anomalies, anything that might explain the strange variations she's begun to notice. Her fingers move deftly across the keyboard as she pulls up the latest results. More sequences, more patterns, and yet something doesn't fit. The data keeps coming back with slight irregularities, mutations in the Irthrulum's genetic structure that shouldn't be there. At first, she thought it was just noise, errors in the system. But the patterns are consistent, and the anomalies seem intentional, almost engineered. Graves leans back in her chair, staring at the data. Her curiosity deepens with every test, but the answers remain elusive. There's something there, hidden beneath the surface, something she can't quite grasp. It's maddening, like trying to catch a shadow. She frowns, tapping her fingers against the desk. It doesn't add up, she mutters, more to herself than anyone else. The structure, it's too complex to be random. Her eyes narrow as she runs another set of tests. "What are you?" she whispers, her voice filled with wonder. The possibilities tug at her, urging her to dig deeper. She's not ready to draw any conclusions, not yet. But something tells her she's standing on the edge of a discovery that could change everything. The shadows are long now, the sun sinking below the horizon, casting the camp in a warm ember light. Zira stands with a small group of Irthrulum, her voice low but steady, carrying the weight of quiet authority. "They think us powerless," Zira says softly, her voice steady as the wind. "But we are more than that, more than they know, more than they force us to be." The others listen in silence, their eyes reflecting the same tired determination that fills Zira's voice. She is one of them, but there's something more to her, something they can't quite define. A fire burns behind her calm exterior, a force of will that draws them to her. "We will not be broken," Zira continues, her voice unwavering. "Not by them, not by their machines or their cages. We will endure, and when the time comes, we will rise." The Irthrulum murmur in agreement, though quietly, afraid of being overheard. They know the risks of speaking openly like this. They know the consequences, but Zira's words give them hope. a small flicker of light in the darkness. Zero looks over their faces, reading the fear, the uncertainty, but also the strength hidden beneath. These are her people, and she will not let them fall into despair, not while there's still a chance to fight. Her voice drops lower, more urgent. We gather our strength, we wait, and when the time is right, we will make our move. But for now, we must be patient. The group nods, understanding the gravity of her words. Zero's influence is subtle, but it grows stronger with each passing day. She is planting the seeds of rebellion, and they are taking root. We will be free, she says softly, but with a certainty that leaves no room for doubt, and we will never let them forget who we are. The Irthrulum disperse, blending back into the shadows, returning to their places of labor and imprisonment. But they carry Zero's words with them, like a flame waiting to ignite. Captain Mira Valen stands at her desk. Her eyes glaze as they skim the reports and surveillance logs before her. But her mind isn't on the data. Her thoughts are distant, replaying the events of the day over and over again, unable to escape the memory of Zero's case. That Irthrulum, different from all the others, hadn't shown fear or submission. No, she stood tall, unbroken, staring right through Valen with a confidence that shouldn't have been possible. Valen pushes the reports aside and paces the length of her small quarters. She's just an Irthrulum, she mutters under her breath, trying to shake the uneasy feeling. But it gnaws at her, that unspoken challenge in Zero's eyes, leaving a crack in her once steadfast belief in the UED's mission. She stops in front of the small window, her gaze falling on the shadowy figures of Irthrulum moving about the camp. Their backs are bent from the weight of labor, their faces hidden in the twilight. She watches them in silence, her mind wrestling with questions she has never allowed herself to ask before. What if they aren't as broken as they appear? What if there's more to them than the UED wants to believe? A knock at the door jolts her from her thoughts. She hesitates, her heart skipping a beat. No one visits her quarters at this hour. She strides over to the door, quickly composing herself, and opens it. A young officer stands on the other side, his expression tense. "Captain Valen," he says, his voice low. "General Kane has requested your presence immediately. There's been an incident in the camps." Valen stiffens, her mind racing. What kind of incident? The officer glances nervously over his shoulder before leaning in closer. "An Irthrulum. They've started speaking out. Some of them are refusing to work. It's spreading." Valen feels a chill run down her spine. "Which Irthrulum?" The officer's eyes flicker with uncertainty. "The one called Zira." Valen's blood runs cold. She doesn't show it, keeping her face a mask of professionalism. But inside, her thoughts swirl in chaos. Zira. Again. She nods curtly and steps past the officer, her mind racing as she makes her way through the halls toward General Kane's office. The weight of this new revelation presses down on her, each step heavier than the last. The Irthrulum, silent and broken for so long, are beginning to resist. As she walks, a sense of dread builds in her chest. Zira is no ordinary Irthrulum. She's more dangerous than Valen could have anticipated. The situation is escalating, and Valen knows that if she doesn't act soon, something far worse could unfold. She reaches Kane's office and stops just outside the door, her hand hovering over the panel to enter. For a moment, she hesitates. She knows once she steps inside, she'll be pulled deeper into this growing conflict. One she isn't sure she understands anymore. But there's no turning back now. Valen takes a deep breath, steeling herself, and presses the panel. The door slides open with a soft hiss. She steps inside, her jaw clenched, eyes narrowing as she prepares to face whatever comes next.